Elon Musk was prepared to discuss rockets and AI, but then a young girl inquired why her ill brother still goes to bed hungry, sparking a conversation that has captivated the internet ever since. The atmosphere in the convention center was charged with excitement. There was a palpable sensation in the atmosphere, not quite excitement, but a distinct sense of curiosity. Individuals traveled from various corners of the nation to attend Elon Musk's address at the Future of Tech Summit in Austin, Texas. Lines of reporters adorned the walls, as engineers, students, and entrepreneurs occupied every available seat. With phones raised and live streams in full swing, Elon took the stage, arms crossed, subtly bouncing on his heels, a familiar posture that hinted at his divided attention, caught between the present moment and a future he was already strategizing. He had just concluded a discussion on the colonization of Mars and the advancements in robotics. It was now the moment for inquiries from the audience. He gestured nonchalantly toward a microphone positioned by the left aisle. "Let's head over there," he remarked. A soft whisper rippled through the gathering as a small silhouette emerged from the throng. At first glance, she might have slipped under your radar. Not amidst that crowd of grown-ups donning lanyards and blazers. She appeared to be around 8 years old, wearing jeans that seemed a bit too short and a worn t-shirt emblazoned with the words, "Big Sister," in sparkling letters. She clutched a spiral-bound notebook securely under one arm. The moderator bent closer and inquired about her name. She murmured a phrase that eluded his ears. He grinned and repositioned the microphone. Then she began to speak. "If you're so clever," she remarked, "and you can create rockets and robots, why can't you mend the world so that kids like my brother don't go hungry?" Silence enveloped the room, an eerie stillness settling in. A pen has been dropped 2 rows back. No one found it amusing. No one even moved an inch in their seat. The question struck with the force of a sudden blow. She remained steadfast. She stood there, her eyes fluttering rapidly as if battling back tears. Yet her voice remained steady. "Not at all." Elon stood still. You could see a shift in his expression. He continued on. For a brief moment, he parted his lips, yet silence enveloped him. He cast his gaze downward before lifting it back to her. He was focused on the craft, not the metrics or the numbers that often dictate success. He found himself in a state of stagnation. He brushed his fingers along his jawline and let out a breath through his nostrils, searching for phrases that would avoid the appearance of justification. "May I ask what your name is?" he inquired gently. "Samira," she uttered. "What about your brother?" "Luis," she responded. "He is unwell. My mom goes without meals so he can have something to eat. Occasionally we visit church pantries, but they often deplete their supplies." Increased quietude. This time more intense. It was more than merely her words. The moment was perfect, the authenticity striking, especially coming from someone so diminutive amidst a crowd of towering figures. Several individuals in the audience appeared to be uneasy. Several individuals lowered their phones. A tech investor, seated just 2 rows from the front, massaged his temples in frustration. This was not the type of groundbreaking Q&A they had anticipated. Elon finally paused for a moment. "That's a completely reasonable inquiry," he remarked. "To be truthful, I'm not sure I have a satisfactory response. It was spontaneous. It may not have been refined, but it had authenticity." He gazed at her once more and remarked, "At times we become so engrossed in constructing the future that we overlook the fact that the present remains fractured." A soft sound of a woman weeping could be heard from the rear. Samira merely nodded, her grip on the notebook tightening. He descended from the platform and approached her with purpose. He knelt down to her height and inquired, "May I hold on to your question? I believe I should take some time to reflect on it." She gave another nod. He straightened up, approached the microphone once more, and declared, "I believe we'll conclude the questions at this point." That was exactly what I needed to hear today. Yet, what remained unknown to everyone at that time, even to Elon himself, was the profound journey that one simple question would embark upon. Samira Navarro resided in a place devoid of the idyllic charm of a white picket fence or the security of a solid roof. She resided in a 2-bedroom apartment on the west side of Bakersfield, California, an area where rent remained somewhat reasonable, provided your expectations were suitably modest. Uneven pavements, dimly glowing lamps, residents who preferred solitude not out of rudeness, but from sheer exhaustion. Clarabelle, her mother, spent her nights working at the nearby nursing home. She took on the role of cleaning the floors and wiping down the walls once the patients had been discharged, rather than working as a nurse. Throughout the day, she took on additional hours at a dollar-plus store just 2 blocks away from their building. She strolled along, maneuvering Luis in a worn stroller that leaned a bit to the right due to a stubborn wheel that had seized up. Luis was 7, merely a year younger than Samira. He suffered from an uncommon metabolic disorder that turned the process of digesting food into a harrowing experience. Some ingredients triggered intense bloating, nausea, and even seizures for him. His dietary requirements were beyond what the local food banks could provide. Rice, beans, peanut butter, affordable yet devoid of value for him. His medical team advised incorporating fresh greens, lean protein, and particular supplements into his regimen. Their insurance hardly addressed the essentials. Clarabelle had mastered the art of smiling graciously when assistance was offered, only to retreat to the bathroom for a quiet cry once they were gone. Samira possessed knowledge beyond what one would expect from an 8-year-old. She had a knack for making a bag of carrots last. She understood the importance of silence during rent discussions. She had a knack for diverting Luis's attention from his stomach ache by reading aloud from her notebook. Not stories of enchantment, however. She crafted her own. Tales of a girl soaring through the skies in a vessel crafted from banana peels, navigating a realm teeming with jellyfish. A sibling who transformed his illness into an extraordinary strength. A realm where the struggle of choosing between sustenance and survival never existed. Clarabelle tucked a folder of those tales beneath her mattress. She mentioned that someday they would see the light of day in print. Every opportunity she had, she assured Samira, "You are destined for greatness. Don't allow this chaos to mislead you." On the day of the tech summit, Samira had not intended to take the stage. Clarabelle successfully obtained complimentary tickets via a non-profit organization dedicated to promoting literacy. She imagined Elon Musk would share some intriguing insights about vehicles or extraterrestrial life. Perhaps consider offering a complimentary laptop. Samira felt a surge of excitement as she prepared to leave Bakersfield for the very first time. They journeyed through the night in a borrowed Toyota Camry, the air thick with the scent of gas station coffee. Clarabelle prepared a selection of boiled eggs, crisp apple slices, and a portion of bread. As the melodies of Spanish pop songs filled the air, she harmonized softly, her voice blending with the rhythm, while Luis peacefully dozed, his head resting gently in Samira's lap. On the day of the event, they showed up ahead of time and found a parking spot 3 blocks away from the main venue. As they perched on the bench, Clarabelle wove intricate braids into Samira's hair, a gentle hum escaping her lips. She carefully pulled the shimmering big sister shirt over her daughter's head, gently dabbing her cheeks with the edge of a napkin. Within the confines of the convention hall, Samira attuned her ears to the sounds around her. She found it difficult to grasp everything. Quantum chips and reusable rockets. Yet a single word echoed persistently, future. All those present in that room were captivated by what lay ahead. But what about the present moment? What about children like Luis, who may not reach that bright future if the present continues to rob them of their opportunity? When the moderator inquired if there were any additional questions, Samira chose not to raise her hand. With determination, she rose and made her way directly to the microphone. Her legs trembled. Her hands felt moist. She clutched her notebook as if it were a shield. She averted her gaze from the throng. She was oblivious to the presence of the camera. Her gaze was fixed solely on Elon. Not due to his wealth, not because of his notoriety, but because, for the first time, someone who had created it all was present, and she required someone to listen to her. Yet, as she distanced herself from the microphone, she remained blissfully unaware that her voice would resonate well beyond the confines of that space. Elon Musk had faced countless inquiries throughout his life regarding Mars, Tesla stock, AI ethics, and even the cost of eggs, but none resonated quite like this particular question. Not a reporter, not a business leader, Not a competitor in the tech world, just a child, perhaps 4 feet tall, wondering why her brother had to endure pain when there were so many individuals creating spaceships. He remained silent for a duration that made most people uneasy. At that instant, an event unfolded within the confines of the room. It lingered in the air, unvoiced yet palpable. It was as though a collective awakening occurred, where individuals recognized their humanity beyond mere intellect and attire. Even Elon appeared to have changed. Not diminished, not of lesser significance, merely revealed. A cameraman later remarked that it was the first occasion he had witnessed Elon Musk lacking control. As he stood on that stage, Elon struggled against his natural tendencies to rationalize, explain, and redirect, yet nothing seemed to align. He gazed across the sea of eager faces, some filled with understanding, others tinged with skepticism, all poised in anticipation. It seems he started to take breaks. I believe I've dedicated considerable time to addressing issues I perceived as pressing, yet perhaps I've misinterpreted the true nature of urgency. By that time, Samira had returned to her seat, clutching her notebook tightly against her chest. Clarabelle embraced her tightly, pressing a gentle kiss to the crown of her head, all in silence. Elon glanced at the microphone. Houses can be created using 3D printing technology. We have the capability to land rockets, yet we still face the challenge of ensuring that no child goes to bed hungry. That's quite awkward. That is a setback. Silence filled the room. It wasn't the sort of moment that warranted applause. He grasped the microphone from its stand and strode confidently to the front of the stage. I've discussed Mars extensively, he continued, about the vision of making life multiplanetary, but perhaps we should first demonstrate our ability to care for one planet, one neighborhood, one child. It lacked the polish needed for publication. It lacked refinement. For the first time that day, attention shifted away from Elon Musk, the innovator and the wealthy magnate. They were encountering Elon, the individual. With a slight nod, he placed the microphone down and exited the stage in silence. The next turn of events was also unanticipated. As he moved behind the curtain, one of his assistants inquired, "Should we draft a statement?" He shook his head in disbelief. "No," he murmured softly. "I can't find the words to mend what she expressed." The next panel has been cancelled by him. Instructed his team to provide a seat for another speaker. He settled into a quiet side room. The door closed, as he focused on the clip that had already made its way online. It had begun to circulate. He observed it once, then repeated the experience. As he lingered on Samira's face for the third time, the depth in her gaze and the bravery it required to pose such a simple yet monumental question without flinching were palpable. She brought to mind a familiar face. He reflected on his own children, recalling a moment from years ago when one of them inquired at the dinner table, "Why don't we do more to help?" He was at a loss for words back then as well. Later that night, as the event hummed with speculation and fervent opinions, Elon discreetly made a call. Not to a PR firm or a political donor, but to an old friend, a woman he hadn't spoken to in over a decade, who once operated a mobile food kitchen in Southern California. Her voice came through on the second ring. "Is this concerning that young girl?" He took a moment to gather his thoughts. "Did you catch a glimpse of it?" It was evident to all Elon. "I need to have a conversation with you," and he mentioned about engaging in something genuine, not extravagant, just authentic. Yet beyond that side room, the world was already observing, and they weren't pausing for Elon's next action. They had begun to pick their allegiances. When Elon departed the convention center that evening, the clip had already amassed over 3 million views, spread rapidly, circulating on Facebook, shared in Instagram stories, and clipped and reclipped on TikTok with hashtags such as #WhyNotLuis and #Elon was inquired. However, it wasn't solely the pace that surprised individuals. The reactions of the people were telling. There were those who admired Samira's courage. She was known as the young girl who held the most significant question in the world. Educators, healthcare professionals, and solo caregivers all resonated with her words, expressing that her voice reflected the struggles they had silenced beneath the weight of expenses, demanding schedules, and fractured structures. A woman from Tucson shared an emotional video, expressing that the child voiced what she has longed to shout for years, yet felt no one would pay attention. However, not everyone responded positively. Online tech enthusiasts claimed she was being exploited by her mother for the sake of publicity. A podcast host, with an air of self-satisfaction behind his microphone, inquired, "Why would a child like that even attend a tech summit?" Some more skeptical opinions suggested it was orchestrated, a publicity maneuver, that the emotions were feigned, and that the entire scenario was contrived. Clarabelle noticed the comments, the memes, the debates, yet she switched off her phone and dedicated her attention to folding laundry and preparing Luis's next meal. She advised Samira against reading anything. "They are unaware of who we are," she remarked. "Your voice went unheard in the kitchen during those countless nights." What caught everyone off guard, including Elon's own team, was his unexpected restraint in not rushing to provide an explanation. No blog entry, no excuses, no embellishments. He avoided Twitter and refrained from giving interviews. That silence only fueled the chatter among people. A group of high school students in Pittsburgh initiated a fundraiser in honor of Samira to provide meals for children with dietary restrictions. A retired mechanic in Fresno took his final paycheck and generously purchased 10 bags of groceries, which he delivered to a nearby school. He wrote in Sharpie on the bags, "If a girl can ask that much, I can do this much." During a council meeting in Cincinnati, a city representative displayed a screenshot of Samira on stage and remarked, "We're allocating $30 million for a parking garage while children in our district go to bed hungry. Does anyone else notice an issue here?" News networks hurried to connect with Clarabelle. Local journalists gathered outside their apartment building. One proposed payment solely for an exclusive opportunity. She rejected every single one. She had no desire for the spotlight. Her only concern was ensuring that Luis took his medications promptly. Samira returned to her studies. Mr. Fortner, the teacher, dedicated the final 10 minutes of class that week for students to compose letters to individuals around the globe who they believed needed to receive a genuine message. However, it wasn't solely encouragement. During recess, a boy mentioned that his father believed she shouldn't have placed blame on the wealthy individual. There was no reply from her. She settled silently beneath the expansive canopy of the grand elm tree and flipped open her notebook. Within the confines of her space, she began to craft a fresh narrative. This piece didn't revolve around jellyfish skies or banana ships. It centered around a girl whose inquiry was so profound that even those reluctant to engage found themselves compelled to pay attention. On that very day, within a podcast studio in Santa Clara, Elon found himself seated opposite a host who inquired softly, "Has that moment altered anything for you?" Elon pressed on without hesitation this time. "Indeed," he replied with a straightforward tone. "I once believed that addressing hunger was the responsibility of others. Perhaps it's a shared experience for all." The host leaned closer. "What will your next move be?" Elon rubbed his chin thoughtfully, then flashed a lopsided grin.